I don't know how we transitioned from a man farting in this woman's face to talking about the rescheduling, but somehow that's the way this show was laid out. That's the way this show was laid out, guys. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's switch gears here real quick. And Bill, as you know,
Yes.
as Sunday was developing, we started to get a lot of chatter about this is imminent. And what we're talking about, guys, is the rescheduling of cannabis under the Controlled Substance Act. So what we're talking about is on Sunday, we started to hear a lot of rumors. This could come as early as Monday. This could come as early as Monday. This could come as early as Monday. And so that's kind of what happened. And then it didn't happen.
Right.
So the story here is that it didn't happen, and I guess what we need to do is kind of figure out, why, right? That's kind of what we're talking about.
Well, there's a lot of speculation on that as well.
There is, and so, guys, I'm just pulling up my my notes, if I may, because, I fucking need notes.
Notes are good. I got notes.
So basically, what people were expecting in terms of the rescheduling, it didn't happen. The delay's not a failure, okay?
Right.
But what it does is it's informative to us, and it tells us, like, maybe kind of might be telling us what could be happening behind the scenes. So I guess, when people are expecting something, is it something that is just leaked as a
Sending out a balloon.
Yeah, I mean, is it really something where somebody got some inside information, or is the government test floating, like you said, a balloon to kind of see, well, what's the reaction? What's the reaction of the market? What's the reaction? Well, the reaction of the stock market was actually quite favorable.
Is that right? I didn't hear that. Okay.
So, in some of the futures and early trading, even on Sunday, they saw pumps on the cannabis stocks, and that flowed into Monday, figuring that Trump does a lot of his afternoon announcements or, his type of thing, but it didn't come.
Okay.
And so what we need to talk about tonight is, perhaps, what happened? Like, why didn't it happen? What's it mean? It could mean that, there's further reviewing. They could have test floated the idea to see what the reaction was.
That sounds reasonable.
There could have been additional legal vetting because this is a highly complicated legal topic, and it involves, then you throw hemp into it, and it does get even more complicated. Or perhaps they're just trying to get the formalities of the announcement and things put together, perhaps. So, there's no story here. We're just kind of playing this in the background as we talk here, just to kind of give a visual. But, this isn't, one of the things that I want to try to clarify is that, a lot of outlets are reporting that this is an executive order.
Right.
And it's really not technically an executive order. What it is, it's an executive direction that comes under the authority of this Controlled Substance Act, that all of these classifications, I think it came out in the early 70s, where, the Schedule 1, and so forth. So what under that provision, the executive branch of our government has the opportunity to direct other government agencies to do certain things. And the rescheduling of cannabis is one of them. But it doesn't solve any of these issues permanently, and it doesn't. It's not law. It's not changing the law per se. And you could write a cannabis bill that does change the law, but it's going to require Congress to do so.
Right.
And so, and again, this isn't terribly clear, but what you guys will see here, Jeff, what are we looking at here? Can you talk into the mic real quick, or turn your mic on? I believe this is the process that things go through.
This is just showing the stages.
I don't know what
It looks like from left to right, we're
I
going
can't read
from
it.
past to future.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
you got President Biden instructs AG initiatives to schedule for schedule review, and that was October of 2022.
And then there has to be a recommendation, and then we're at the next step where it shows
whatever.
the yellow.
It's too damn small, but
and it shows
but
all
bring
these
it back
other
to us.
steps we have to get through before
basically
we
it's
actually
process.
get to reschedule.
That's kind of what this graphic's showing. You can come back to us, Jeff. But first of all, if this whole thing was simple, right? If this was simple, it'd have been done already.
Sure.
It is not simple. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different interests, and I think that creates delays. It's been going on, the early conversations have been going on for 3 years about the rescheduling. We've done numerous stories on rescheduling.
Right.
We've gotten stories about how the DEA had looked at it and gave initial reviews and said that, hey, this is something that we can probably work with or live with.
Sure.
Maybe is a better way to say it. So,
well, one agency says we're going to reschedule it. Another agency says, well, that's going to impact this, this, and this. So tap the brakes, and we got to examine what that's going to be.
And it bounces back and
Exactly.
forth, which
Right.
it creates time.
On and on again.
It goes on and on and on. So, so one of the things that, there are folks that are going to win in this thing, and there are others who aren't really going to feel any of this.
Right.
So let's start with the ones who aren't going to feel anything, and the most important is most likely us, the consumers.
Exactly.
This doesn't change anything with how the states handle things. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's still federally illegal.
Right.
It's still on that Controlled Substance Act, whether it's this schedule or that schedule. All we're saying is in this rescheduling is it does have medicinal value, and the people it benefits are researchers. It handles these large cannabis companies because there are the ability for them to have banking regulation reform.
That's big. That's the biggest one, probably.
Big, but not completely solved by it, right? It's so it moves it in a better direction, but it doesn't solve it. Excuse me. Who else? And so, from a tax perspective, these guys, they get taxed more than normal businesses. That's number one. And then they don't have the opportunity to take deductions off of those because the government or the state, in many cases, wants the taxes on the top line revenue. They don't want that to be a lower number from expenses being, taken against it. So, the breakdown, large operators and MSOs, they're waiting for their tax relief. It's the 280E. Small operators, they want relief. They fear consolidation.
Yes.
Investors, they hate uncertainty. They want clarity. Pharma benefits from Schedule 3 regulatory structure with all the researching, so it allows them to start going to town if they choose to. And there are folks right now saying that the control of cannabis won't land in big pharma's hands. But
I hope not.
And I hope not. But what they're not saying is it won't land in big tobacco. I hope not.
I hope not
hope
also.
not as well. Hemp-derived THC businesses are closely watching. I mixed that
Starting
up.
to sound like me.
Right? So they're kind of watching closely, but they have another issue to deal with, whether, where's hemp going? Because the descheduling, or I say descheduling, the rescheduling of cannabis doesn't necessarily change any of the things that are going on with hemp. So they're kind of still in
Their
flux.
future's crazy. Yeah.
The states, they sit back and they wait on seeing, well, what's the government going to do? There's a hard way to tackle it, which is, on your own in the state, or you can basically run under the cover of the federal government. If the federal government gets their act together, you can just say, hey, it doesn't matter, the government did it, so we'll do it, and then who's going to say shit at that point? So all these different people have all these different interests in it. And at the end of the day, what we really need is real reform. Real reform is going to come from Congress. It's going to be.
Right.
It's probably not going to happen under Trump. I don't see it happening under Trump.
Really? Don't think so.
I
mean, we've gotten closer than we've ever been before under Trump.
All right, well, let's see what Trump has to
Issue
say.
of drugs. Is it accurate that you are considering an executive order to reclassify marijuana under the control?
We are considering that, yeah.
Are you planning?
Because a lot of people want to see it, the reclassification, because it leads to tremendous amounts of research.
And money.
Yeah, he wants the money angle,
Yeah.
but it doesn't address doesn't address a lot of stuff.
Right.
Doesn't address home grow, doesn't address like all kinds of stuff.
But like you were saying
And it's really
before-
not. I mean, he wants you to say it's executive order. It's easy to say executive order because he can take credit for it, but it really isn't an executive order. It's built into the Controlled Substance Act
Right.
for the executive branch to be able to step in and make changes through the agencies that do that. So you call it what you want, you know.
But if he tries to push it through as an executive order, then the issue we have is the next president can
change
undo it.
That's right.
But what we really want to have done is Congress
Lasting change
Yes.
through law.
a more
That's-
permanent solution.
Yeah, and there are people and there are experts in the industry that say you need this step in order to take that next step, which
Right.
is the descheduling of cannabis.
Right.
You know, that's kind of where we all want to see it. I know that's where you want to see it, and you want to see it. I want to see it there. And, you know, do I personally think that we can't go from where we are to the promised land? I kind of would like to think we could, but it makes more sense that we have to take steps along the way.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where we are with that. Let's see here. So we talked about what Schedule 3 actually does and what it doesn't do. So it acknowledges medical use.
Right.
And before I say that, people are saying that this is like the biggest thing to happen to cannabis in 50 years. And really it is, but it's not as big as we would hope that it could be or should be.
It's not the bomb.
It's not the bomb.
Not yet.
But it is big news, and if it happens, it is what it is. I mean, it's a step forward, whether you like it or not. It does move the needle.
Right.
So removes cannabis from Schedule 1. So there's, it acknowledges the medicinal value. It ends the 280E tax punishment, which is what a lot of companies face federally, and it opens these research pathways. What it doesn't do is it's not legalization. We talked about that. It's not descheduling. We talked about that. No automatic releases or expungements for people who are in jail or anything like that. Doesn't do that. So, something that has the medicinal value or seen as risky as perhaps steroids now, if it does get changed,
Right.
doesn't allow people who are, like we talked about, sitting on death row for some nonviolent cannabis charges. It doesn't open up any type of interstate commerce, which is such a big part of moving the industry forward. It does not do that. And there's no overnight retail changes. So anything that you have now outside of the things that are changing next year with hemp is going to remain the same.
Right.
And so
It's a nothing burger.
it really is, in a way. It helps balance the sheets faster than it helps people, right? It's more financial
Right.
than it is for
As
consumers.
usual. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as we talked about, when we talked about executive action versus law, that's exactly what we talked about. We need law. Executive action could be temporary, just like Bill said. And if someone shoots